This is the Werewolf channel. Please subscribe. You can win a PlayStation 5 on the 20th of October when it's drawn from all my subscribers. If you want any more information about the werewolf, then it's www.werewolf.host. And there's also all these stories been released as my autobiography in Amazon. So you can go to Amazon and get it on that Kindle, whatever thing it is, or even a book if you want. I believe there are still things like books. And the name and title of that book is Werewolf the Autobiography. I thought that was clever. Anyway, so I'm going to carry on with my story, and this is chapter 3, or podcast 3, and it's just about hazing and hosing. Soon after the one I will now call the chief left, the door opened again. Now 2 more soldiers came into the room in bright orange biochem suits with gas masks on. They pulled a hose from a storage place in the wall and rolled it out so that it ended within a couple of meters of my cage. One of the soldiers then held the nozzle and pointed it in my direction, while the other soldier went back to where the hose had been stored and out of my sight started turning a tap or something that started the high-power jet of cold water. This mini tsunami then blasted me as I sat. I did not move or respond to the high-pressure cold water. I just stared through the jet of water directly at the guard doing it. I would not fucking move. I would just fucking stare. They had begun feeling pretty confident that it would be a horrible experience for me, but as the process showed no apparent effect on me, I sensed the 2 guards' discomfort build. They really did not like the fact that I just sat on the ground smiling at them. The water was draining through the grates that surrounded the cage in the floor, and eventually the hosing stopped. It was reeled back to the cupboard and stored, and the 2 guards, now physically shaken, filed out. Me? Well, to be honest, I was cold. So effing cold. I wanted to get furred up into my werewolf form, but I knew that wasn't a good idea, or not at this moment in time anyway. I know I couldn't die of the cold, I knew that, but it's not a nice feeling to sit there on a cold, wet metal floor, being wet and miserable, and being wet and grumpy. I stayed in my kneeling position and stared at the door as I slowly dried off. Was I giving away a lot by not reacting to the cold? Was it a bad thing that I was not dying of hypothermia from this process? Maybe, but I would not be showing them my wolf side without a reason that would justify it. Time passed. I could not tell if it was night or day or how many hours had actually been spent. The light was just always the same. I just sat talking to the posit. That's my werewolf soul. If you don't know what that is, please refer to episode 1 and 2. He had tried a few more times to leave the room. Each time he was not able to pass through the doors or the walls. I eventually had to do my business, a big steamy shit, through the bars of the cage like the animal I was. I wasn't going to shit in the bucket. I was keeping the bucket to store some of the sprayed water in it that had accidentally collected. For the next few, I assumed days, the chief soldier man would walk in, he would tell me I was a werewolf, and then he would leave, and the soldiers would come in and hose me and my cage clean. They had brought me no food or water apart from the hosing. They brought me nothing, no clothes or cover. They never asked anything. They just went through the same set of processes each time they arrived. I'm sure this is classic interrogation. After a lot of this treatment, they then added the sleep deprivation thing where they try to keep you awake so that it breaks you. The problem they had here was that they would not come near me to wake me, so they could only use the hosing and some high decibel alarms to stop me pretending to be asleep. They did not realise that I did not really need sleep. At least they felt like they had a small victory. In fact, the only pleasure I would have had from sleeping was the break in the monotony of this time. There is only so much I spy with my little eye. You can play with a posit who cheats by reading your mind, and only so many subjects you can choose from in a room you've been in for a very long time. After several what felt like hundreds of these visits, the chief guy came in once more, dragged the chair to its usual spot on that cross, and spoke. "We've not fed you for 10 days now," he stated. I nodded. "You are in a room that is maintained at 4 degrees centigrade. You are not dead, ill, or wasting away. Would you like to explain that to me? I sat before him cross-legged, trying to come across all scary and intimidating and stuff, which I have to tell you is really hard for a cross-legged naked man. I had now realised that there was no other way out of this. I had realised that this entire setup meant that even with my abilities, I probably could not escape. I also realised that with my ADHD mindset, that I would eventually go mad if they held me here much longer, so I thought that I would be honest. "Okay, I am a werewolf," I said, shrugging my shoulders. His head snapped up from his papers. "It's pretty hard to hurt or stop me, although I have to admit that you have an exceptional setup here that is certainly doing that. I've been trying to work out how to get out, and to be honest, I think I'm fucked." I smiled and reached forward and held one of the bars in my right hand, showing him that it's pretty strong. "So you realise and believe you're a werewolf then?" said the chief. "Yep, I am. I'm a motherfucking ball-licking Scooby-Dooing werewolf. I can prove it if you wish," I answered. The chief held up a hand towards me. "No, it's okay. We knew that it was the case. We have to say that we have never seen anything like you before. When the first reports came in that you were on the scene, we thought there was some hallucinogenic gas being released into the area. We all thought that our guys saw things that were not there. It was assumed it could be PTSD or some shit like that." He seemed now to want to talk after fucking months of what seemed like months of silence. "Then shockingly we got the footage of you in the last village. We have those satellites and planes that fly out of your sight. They spotted you while you worked. They recorded you changing forms and how you were, well, mainly killing people. So we know what you are. Capturing you was a whole operation in this war itself. Operation Dog Pound." At this name, I laughed, as it was a well-chosen moniker for the whole plan to capture me, a werewolf. "I'm kinda here to speak to you and see what that's all about. Son, are you a result of some set of sick experiments or something? Or is there more to the legend of the Wolfman? Fuck. This shit is totally unbelievable. I love your movies, man. Who knew you were real?" I moved towards the bar and knelt there, looking at him. I smiled nicely and asked him, "What do you actually want me to say, and what do you actually want me to do?" "Well, let's start at the beginning. What is your name, and where are you from?" I felt like I was on a game show, but what the hell. Here I go.